Alright, here we are for round 4 of the Modern League we took with Abbot Zoo. We lost the die roll, so we're going to be on the draw here. Our opening hand has 4 lands, 2 Tarmogoyfs, not Nacatls, and a Path, which is fine in the blind. It's not great, but it's fine. So I believe we're just going to lead off with Foothills, but we find a Wild Nacatl, so we're going to play the Temple Garden instead and drop down the Nacatl. Our opponent finds Blood Crypt. So we're kind of assuming, just seeing Blood Crypt, you probably are assuming Jund right away, or Grixis, but he follows it up with Clifftop Retreat, Young Pyromancer. We're going to hesitate 0% and just fire off the path before even playing a Mountain to pump our Wild Nacatl here. So we're going to fetch into Stomping Ground tapped, since we can't play a Tarmogoyf for anything. Young Pyromancer is very, very good against zoo decks, having 1/1 that can block, and we don't really have Trample. Like, we don't have Gore Clans or Keswick Wolf Run in this deck, so we can't really afford to have Young Pyromancer sticking around. So we get that tapped. And our opponent plays Lightning Helix against our Nacatl, which is not fantastic, but we'll be able to deal. So we are going to just play our Forest and play Loxodon Smiter as a 4/4. Opponent plays Dark Confidant. We untap, find Atarka's Command. So we're going to swing into the Confidant, assuming he won't block unless he has a Bolt in his hand, which he apparently does not. So he takes the 4, and we're going to follow it up with Goyf Goyf. So we fetch out Plains and get Goyf Goyf. So we have a 4/4 and 2 3/4s. Confidant revealed a Confidant, so he's going to play another Confidant. And he's kind of floating out a bit, as are we. We have a Lightning Bolt and a Tarka's Command, so we're threatening to deal lethal damage here. We're going to see how he wants to block. If he doesn't block, he's dead. He decides he does want to block once each with the Confidants on the Tarmogoyfs, which seems odd, but he just wants to preserve life total apparently. But then he plays Rally the Peasants. Little does he know that this Atarka's Command is just going to blow him out of the water. So instead of killing off 2 Goyfs and having his 2 Confidants die and only taking 4 damage, he is going to take 5, 6, 7, 8 damage, and we're going to keep our Tarmogoyfs alive in the process. And in response to that, he just scoops. We didn't even need to bolt him there. So, Rally the Peasants, Mardu is what we're playing against. So we kind of really only saw Young Pyromancer, Helix, and Dark Confidant. So going into game 2, we will be on the draw again. And our hand is not fantastic. We did bring in the core Firewalkers. Normally I probably wouldn't against Bob decks, but seeing Young Pyromancer made me really want to have the core Firewalker. Just be able to push through damage if need be, and gain marginal life. The life gate isn't so much what we wanted here. It was the protection, so we could block against Pyromancer or push through when we need to. So we're going to find a Nacatl on turn 1, and we're going to drop that down. We're going to bolt this Pyromancer as soon as possible. Possibly should have pathed, and I believe here I made a pretty big mistake. I was talking to a friend over Skype at the time. So our opponent plays Mentor, and obviously if we don't like Young Pyromancer, we're not going to like Monastery Mentor. And end step, I should easily just path so that I can untap and play Loxodon Smiter. But I bubbled up and I untapped before playing the path, and we drew a Stomping Ground. So now my mana is very awkward. So we're going to swing into the Monastery Mentor, see what he wants to do. He's just going to take the damage, which, so we can either play Loxodon Smiter and take some damage and allow the Monastery Mentor to be around for a bit. But we're just going to throw off the path right away and then not be able to play a follow-up because of not pathing end of turn because of this basic mountain, which is a bummer. So we're just going to play Foothills and buffer with that. We'll fetch end step of his turn. He plays Vault of the Archangel into Young Pyromancer, and we don't have a way to get rid of it. So this could be bad. So we're going to find Sacred Foundry untapped just to have another white source so we could play the Firewalker if need be. At this point, seeing the Pyromancer, we're going to swing in with the Nikotl. And it is going to get Zealous Persecution from the Pyromancer. So we're going to have a 2-2, and he's just going to block with his Elemental. And there's not really much we can do there. We just kind of have to trade, which feels terrible. So in our second main, we're just going to drop in the Smiter, I believe. Nope, we play Core Firewalker. Just trying to get a little bit of life back and be able to stave off the Pyromancer a bit. But he has a Path to Exile for our Firewalker. So he gets an Elemental and is able to untap. He's swinging for 3. I don't believe he activates his Archangel just yet. He's going to Thoughtseize us. He's going to take this Firewalker from us, which is sad. I believe we just play our Smiter out here. So we play Abbot first into Smiter. We find Forest, which we get punished for next turn because he is going to Inquisition away this Kasali Pride Mage, or Thoughtseize, sorry. So we should have played the Pride Mage holding up the Smiter, but he wouldn't have followed up with the Thoughtseize, then he would have known. But we find Lightning Bolt, which is great. So we're going to bolt away the Pyromancer, and we just have to deal with some tokens. And a Vault of the Archangel, which is not great. So we're going to swing in. Oops, sorry, I accidentally clicked full turn. So we're going to swing at the Abbot there. He's going to block and vault, which is fine. We kind of want that to happen, and we kind of want him to start getting aggressive so that we can swing in with our Elephant, which he's not going to. He's going to keep the Elementals and the Vault back for defense against our Smiter, which is obviously smart. Him being at 9 and us 14. But we're both just top decking, and he finds Young Pyromancer, which, again, not fantastic. Not what we wanted to see, but we find Lightning Bolt. So we're kind of going to go parry back and forth here. And I think pretty soon I'm going to start swinging in. And he's going to swing with 1, so he can hold 1 back. Which, we can't block or we lose our Smiter. So here we're going to bolt off an Elemental and get in for 4, taking him to 5. So burn spells are going to be live. A Darkest Command, Bolt, Helix, they're all going to be live spells. But he finds a Monastery Mentor, which, again, it does not spell good things for us. Pyromancer and Mentor are not good for this Zoo deck when we don't have Trample and we don't have ways to really get through them. Same with Lingering Souls. It's not great for us. He has Lightning Helix for this Loxodon Smiter, and this kind of just spells the end of us. So I'm going to let it play out here. I think we parry back and forth for a bit. He's just going to Tide Hollow me, see that I have Mesa, and he's going to get in for a bunch of damage with life gain, Death Touch. And I believe we just concede pretty quickly here. We're alive for a few turns, but the life gain is really going to do us in. So we'll let that play out. That's game 2 against the Mardu Mentor deck, and I think here's when we just concede. There's not much we can do. We can stop the Lightning Bolt, but we're just dead to the creatures. Yep, so that's when we concede. So game 3 against Mardu Mentor will be on the play. We will play first. Let's get rid of this. I don't like this. And our hand is not great. I believe we keep it, to be honest. Firewalker is enough of something we want that I believe we keep this. Firewalker Path. We're going to play Sacred Foundry Kurdape so that we can just play Temple Garden next turn. Temple Garden Core Firewalker, hoping to dodge an Inquisition or a Thoughtseize, which we do, which is great. So we are going to play the Temple Garden, swing in for 2, followed up with the Firewalker, and we're going to have Path Bolt backup, which is phenomenal against anything he's about to play. So he taps out for Pyromancer, we gain life, And we're going to untap and bolt off the Pyromancer, hoping to save paths for mentors if we find them, or any more Pyromancers, and not just accelerate them quite yet. So we're going to swing in for 4, play a land, and pass the turn. Our hand does not look great, but we do have the path, which is fine. So here's the mentor, or sorry, it was Lingering Souls. Same 3. So we are just going to fetch in response there. So we're going to swing in. If he wants to double block with his spirits on our Firewalker, we're going to let him. That is half of Lingering Souls gone. It's not great that we're going to lose some life gain and such, but knowing he has Path in his deck, our Firewalker could just be gone at any time. So we'll take it. We'll take the half of Lingering Souls being gone when we can. We find land. Sorry, we find Loxodon Smiter. So we play land and Loxodon Smiter and hold up the path that we have. Realistically, he's just going to flash back here, which he doesn't. He plays Monastery Mentor, which gives us a huge opportunity to get some good tempo swings in before he can flash back. Flashing back there would definitely set me back a lot more than him playing a Mentor that we can answer right away. He is going to fire back a Lightning Bolt in response, so he is going to have a token. But since we have a path here and not a bolt, well, I guess he would still die to bolt. But he is going to have the Prowess token, and he's going to be able to jump for a turn. We're going to swing right into it. If he wants to block, he can. He's going to, which seems smart at this point, especially when he can flash back next turn. So it doesn't look great for us. So here's the flashback Lingering Souls. We only have Path. So we're going to find a Loxodon Smiter, which is fantastic. We like finding Loxodon Smiters. We're going to swing in with a 4/4. He's going to Zealous Persecution. He's going to attempt to double block and 2-for-1 our Loxodon Smiter. We're kind of put in a tough position where we have to path away a token, which doesn't feel great. But it keeps our Smiter alive, and we're going to be able to turn around and bash for 8 next turn with 2 Smiters. So it's worth it, I believe. If he does follow it up with a Young Pyromancer or a Monastery Mentor, it is what it is. We're hellbent here. We have 2 4/4s. I feel like we're in a great position if he has nothing. He turns out to have nothing, so we're going to swing for 8 here. Assuming he doesn't have any flash threats, which he doesn't, and this Vaulted Archangel won't be too big of a problem for us this turn, and that's going to be it. He's going to concede from there. So that was round 4 of our Modern League with Abbot Zoo. Stick around for round 5. Thanks.